From the first centuries of Christianity, iconography evolved not as art in the usual sense, but as a special language, in which every line, color, and pose had a specific meaning. The Byzantine tradition left no room for imagination. The artist was not to create, but to transmit the sacred. But why such rigidity? The answer may lie in the fact that the icon is an information transmission mechanism, understood only by a certain circle. Let's take the famous icon The Trinity by Andrei Rublev. At first glance, a biblical scene, three angels under a tree. But why are all three figures identical? Why are their heads inclined in a circle? Why is there a bowl at the center of the composition, reminiscent of the Eucharistic cup? Some researchers believe that this icon hides a cosmic harmony code, the Trinity as a universal formula for the structure of the world: spirit, soul, and body, past, present, and future, God, man, and the Church, all united into one structure. Or consider the Byzantine icon Pantocrator. Jesus is depicted with a book in one hand and a blessing gesture in the other. But take a closer look. Why are the same words always written in the book? Why is the hand gesture always the same? Historians claim that this gesture goes back to ancient symbols, including esoteric systems, in which fingers represent numbers and letters. What we see as a hand, they saw as a formula. Icons often contain embedded geometric figures, triangles, circles, square compositions. These forms not only correspond to aesthetics but also to occult symbolism, including concepts of perfection, Trinity, and the sacred measure. This leads us to think, maybe the icon is a sort of gateway that both hides and reveals meaning, depending on who is looking. Thus, it can be argued that many elements of iconography are direct quotes from esoteric and mystical traditions presented under the guise of Christianity. Could it be that the Church has suppressed these interpretations for centuries? Thousands of people pass by icons every day in churches, museums, on the pages of books, and in personal shrines at home. Many don't even think, what exactly are they seeing? An icon is perceived as something familiar, holy, spiritually elevated. But behind this apparent simplicity lies something much deeper. It is not just an image, it is a cipher, a carefully crafted message where every detail can be a symbol, a hint, or even a challenge. Why are nearly all icons strictly bound by certain canons? Why do the gestures of characters almost never change, and the colors and backgrounds are repeated with alarming regularity? Who established these rules, and who benefits from them? What if these canons are a code, a system of hidden knowledge accessible only to a narrow circle? History is full of examples when artists, especially during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, embedded secret signs, esoteric allusions, and symbolism into their works, understandable only to the initiated. What if iconography followed the same principle? After all, the Church for centuries monopolized art, education, and the interpretation of the sacred. Icons were created not just as images for prayer, but as visual texts, rich in meanings not meant for public discussion. In this video, we will attempt to uncover what is hidden. We will examine famous icons, from the ancient Byzantine Trinity to the works of Rublev and Theophanes the Greek, analyzing details that once seemed unimportant. What do their gestures say? Why do the figures look in different directions? Why do some icons have a golden background, while others have a dark one? And most importantly, what do all these details say about the connection between religion, power, and secret knowledge? When we study iconography superficially, we see only religious scenes, the Virgin Mary, Jesus, saints, angels. But if we view these images through the lens of the history of symbols, a completely different picture begins to emerge. Many elements that seem to be purely Christian actually have much older roots in pagan, Egyptian, and Gnostic traditions. One such example is the halo. In icons, it symbolizes holiness. But the same halo can be found in depictions of Egyptian gods, Roman emperors, and even in Hindu traditions. It is not just light, it is the sign of deification, a recognition of the figure as above ordinary humans. This element is a universal symbol of power and mystical knowledge, borrowed by Christianity at the moment of its institutionalization. Another symbol is the staff or cross in the hand, often found with archangels or Jesus. It resembles the caduceus, the staff of Hermes, the god of mediation between worlds in Greek mythology. The same vertical with a crossbar, is it just a cross, or is it the key to understanding the duality of the world? Many esoteric scholars believe that such symbols on icons indicate spiritual hierarchies, whose understanding has been lost to the common person but preserved in closed circles. Even hand gestures, like those of Pantocrator and many other saints, are often depicted in ways that match signs used in Freemasonry and Gnostic teachings. It is not just a blessing. It is a symbolic system that may convey an alphabet or a cipher, transmitting a hidden meaning. Finally, attention should be paid to backgrounds and surroundings. Often, saints are placed in abstract spaces, outside of time, beyond nature. This is not just style. It is a hint at another dimension, a spiritual reality that is accessible only to a select few. All of this is eerily similar to the principles of secret societies, where knowledge is conveyed in a veiled form through architecture, signs, and images. Thus, we can assert that many elements of iconography are direct citations from esoteric and mystical traditions disguised under the cloak of Christianity. Could it be that the Church suppressed these interpretations for centuries? For centuries, the Church did not simply create icons. It controlled every element of them. There were detailed canons prescribing how to depict Christ, the Virgin Mary, saints, and biblical scenes. Violating these rules was considered heresy, and the iconographer who strayed from the template could be excommunicated. Why such strictness? What exactly are they trying to preserve or conceal? The answer is simple and unsettling at the same time. The icon is a tool of power. Through an image, one can transmit not only faith, but also ideology. If someone starts to see something different in the icon, it creates a threat. Free interpretation can uncover hidden meanings that have been suppressed and erased for centuries. Historian of religion Mircea Eliade wrote that a sacred image is always a point of contact between the world of gods and the world of humans. And controlling this contact is a form of manipulation. That's why in Byzantium and Russia, entire schools existed to teach iconographers strictly according to approved models. Any attempt to step outside those bounds was viewed as an attack on the established structure of sacred authority. For example, in the 14th century, some icons where Jesus was depicted too humanly sparked debates at church councils. How permissible is it to bring God closer to humanity? But in reality, it was a debate about something else. Can we rethink the image, or should everything stay within rigid bounds? The answer was clear: only the canon. The Church has long fought against popular interpretations, superstitions, and attempts to read icons differently. This is not just a battle against ignorance. It is a battle for interpretation, for the right to dictate how the image should be understood. In this sense, the icon is not just a religious object, but also an informational system, where even the slightest deviation can trigger a chain reaction of reinterpretation. That's why church authorities have so strictly filtered images. They know, in the image, there is power, and this power can be unleashed. The only question is, who will get access to it first? When we look at an icon, truly look at it, not just recognize a familiar image, we are standing at the boundary of two worlds. One of them is the obvious one. It is the church tradition, dogma, canon. The other, the hidden world, where images become symbols and symbols form a cipher. This second world hasn't disappeared. It has simply become invisible to most. The mysteries in icons are not accidents. This is not the result of clumsiness or ancient stylistics. This is intentional multi-layeredness, a system of visual messaging designed for those who have eyes to see. The question is, who are these people to whom these secret signs are addressed? It is possible that we are talking about the spiritual elite, the initiated. Those who knew that the halo over the head was not just an aureole, but a sign of the cosmic circle of time. That the gold in the background was not just light, but a reference to the radiance of the divine pleroma. That the silent posture of Christ Pantocrator was not just a gesture, but a visual manifesto capable of being revealed in meditation or prayer.